Some of us are of the opinion that the national fabric is rotting away with the advent of this TikTok. There was the thinking that our people were going to use it as a tool for education, information, and entertainment. But we see right now that what we have is a system where people with microphones are using a lot of verbiage, speeches, sermons, are using narratives to destroy the national fabric. To the extent that what we see are a lot of insults. Insults from Kevin Taylor, insults from Tony Jonas, and also insults from a lot of these pastors, or Pambo and the rest, and other pastors. So we see that instead of turning the wheels of our fortune into a positive experience with the TikTok, what we have are people who are insulting. They are breaking the fabric of the society and making the TikTok a tool for the destruction of our society. And the strange thing is that we don't feel that those who know better are trying to bring these people in line. They are not trying to educate the people to reject the kinds of negative insults that has pervaded the media space. So it is the intention of some of us to try as much as we can to turn our fortunes into the correct directions, to make the teachings, to back our professional status with the teaching of the people, to teach the people to at least turn away from this whole business of insults. Because the irony here is that we have a lot of churches in the country, and we have not asked the churches what positive effects they have had on the society. What we hear mostly is that most of these pastors talk about having preached for 47 years, for 50 years, for 25 years, and so on. But they have never asked themselves what are the effects, the positive effects that they have brought upon the country. Because the country is getting worse. No doubt about that. The country is getting worse. There is certainly more corruption. And there is certainly more galamsey, destroying the river bodies and performing all kinds of indiscipline in the society. This cannot continue. So some of us have taken it upon ourselves to at least advance a course that will see the country receiving the kinds of input we need, the philosophical and intellectual input that will make it possible for this country to turn its fortune around for the better. Because we cannot continue the way we are continuing. We believe sincerely that the people lack the kinds of directions they need in order to give them the orientation and a chance for the future. We believe that it is more because the voice of reason has been subsumed under the abstract cause of religion. We believe that the voice of reason has been subsumed under the cause of religion, superstition, and false and fake spirituality and magic. The supernatural has become a substitution for hard work. We talk often about having been deceived by people like Sikagari, Agrada, and the rest. It's all because we don't have the kind of orientation that will free us from the bondage of superstition. We believe that there is something called Sikagari, Juju money, and so on. So we are trying to reorient the national psyche, which is the same as the national spirituality. We are trying to give it a boost, an orientation towards the proper direction, so that together we can also move and advance our country just in the vein of China, in the vein of Japan, and in the vein of those developed countries that have not made religion their priority, yet have advanced the course of the economy and their progress and prosperity, such that we are always thinking of joining these countries. So my first talk ought to focus mainly on our religion. We have to start from the beginning, that the religion has not helped us. Nobody can account for the currency or profitability of our religious notions. When we go to the church and clap, when we go to the church and speak in tongues, and when we go to the church and roll on the ground or drum and pay money, and then when we go to the church and do all these things, who are we benefiting? And in what terms are we fulfilling even the mission of Christ, which enjoins us to try to help our neighbor? We must focus on the parable of the Good Samaritan, helping people who need our help. We must focus on the practical Christian principles, like visiting prisoners, giving food to the hungry, clothing the poor, giving water to the thirsty. These things are the practical terms in which Christ taught. He wasn't concerned about establishing a church or taking tithes or making himself the boss or believing him as God's son. In order to do what? How does it profit the society to dance, to believe, to recite some incantations, or to even pray, or to believe that somebody is behind somebody's destiny, and that person is tweaking the destiny for the negative? How do these things help us to propel the society to prosperity? And if you are a Christian, how does it help you to attend the church or not to attend the church? And the belief itself, how does it even ennoble your fellow human being or improve his life? If you believe in witchcraft and accuse your mother or your relative of witchcraft, how does it help the society? And if you listen very well to the sermons being preached by the pastors, in what sense are they influencing the society in any positive sense? And if you listen to people like Opambo and so on, how do they advance the cause of Christianity? By talking about profane stuff, talking about witchcraft, cursing other people. See? And how are you able to improve upon your life? By listening to Angel Obinim. Or how are you able to become a better person if somebody somewhere is telling you that your fortune is as a result of witchcraft? So our whole efforts should be geared not in the advancement of religion, but rather in the advancement of the philosophical perspective, which will improve our minds to understand the sort of things that we can do to improve the country. because those are the things that are important in our lives. We are advancing tax-free systems to the churches, benefits to the pastors who have been storing up the wealth of the people, deceiving the people, and collecting huge sums of the money. We can say with authority that even the resources of the country are now lodged with the churches, and people are wasting their time, many man hours in the churches, never doing anything of benefit to the country. And yet at the same time, these people are enjoying tax-free. For what? So some of us are even suggesting that we should get together to design a syllabus for the churches in exchange for whatever tax-free benefits they can have. That is to say, a church has to preach according to certain trends. And those visions also have to be curtailed. All kinds of prophecies that do not do anything to anybody in the country. So these are things that are, in general, I would set out to try to explain and also to talk about, so that at least the typical Ghanaian will have the capacity to have a philosophical walking stick. Let me describe it that way, which will then make the person improve in his quality of life, in her perspective of the things that will advance the cause of our nation. If we don't do that, it doesn't matter who is the leader, whether NPP or NDC. This nation is going down, but none of us wants this nation to go down. That is all that we have. So we will do our bit to improve the country by investing in the people a philosophical perspective which will enable them to differentiate between what is of value to the country and what is not of value to the country. My name is Samuel Safo. I have a doctorate in law, and I'm also a teacher of English in the US, as well as a patriotic citizen who is interested in his country. Thank you very much.